Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing Yesterday with no spoilers. I'm not really sure, the movie does not warrant a spoiler and non-spoiler review, so I guess I'm gonna say no spoilers. But I'm a very big Beatles fan, for those of you who might not know. There's nothing in this is empty, but it's a Beatles mug. Anyway, I don't know why it's sitting right there, but I'm a very big Beatles fan, and I'm about to go to England for 4 months, so I was definitely gonna have to see this movie before I left. And I know my mom wanted to see it, which is why I saw it late, which is why I wasn't sure if I was gonna review it, which is why my review is coming out late. Because it's hard to coordinate schedules in terms of like seeing a movie with other people. I go to the movies a lot, guys. But yeah, so I was kind of holding off waiting to see this movie with my mom, and I grew up on the Beatles. Literally, I say I grew up on a lot of music, but that's because my dad raised me with like the best music taste ever. So when I talk about in my Bo Rap review why I grew up with the fact that I grew up with Queen, and then in my Rocket Man review I grew up with Elton John, and on this review I grew up with the Beatles, it's true because I grew up with classic rock and with good music, like from especially just I grew up with really good music, and I still have very particular music taste because of it. But I was very excited about this movie. I did a trailer reaction for the first trailer they released. I was so excited to see such an interesting concept be brought to life. I didn't know how they were going to do it logistically, like how the script would have worked out, but I'm actually really pleased to say that this movie was highly entertaining and very artistic. Some shots I was like, I don't know why this was necessary, but like, wow. And other shots I just was floored how like creative they were. The movie did a really good job of highlighting the whimsical artisticness and colorfulness, I guess, of the Beatles and bringing it to life in this movie. And it really, really impacted me to the point where I really want to go actually watch the anthology again. In my sophomore year of high school, I watched the 11-hour Beatles anthology within the span of like 3 days, I think. And which, by the way, if you're a Beatles fan, or if you even like them casually but like want to know more about them, I know 11 hours is excessive, but like, wow, you really need to watch the anthology for the Beatles. It's so good. It's so good. And honestly, I'm gonna watch it again. I almost started watching it this morning, and then I decided to do other things. But I just, this really reminded me how much I love the Beatles and how important they are to me. And I think one of the best things about this movie is that it emphasizes the impact that they've had on the world and on people, and how big culturally the experience of just being in the existence of their music like is how much it impacts you, you know? And so I was just shocked. I was like, wow, this. And my mom and I were just laughing consistently throughout the movie because they do a really good job explaining how this whole thing happened. Like, this one guy just gets hit by a bus, and suddenly he's the only one who remembers the Beatles. Well, they do a really good job without spoiling anything of explaining kind of how that worked. The Beatles aren't the only thing that was forgotten and that like kind of poofed out of existence. And so that was so funny over the course of the movie to figure out things that also got erased from people's memory. That was hilarious. It was so funny. But then also to explore the world without the Beatles, and I really don't want to give anything away, but like specific lives that are impacted by that band not being a thing. So that was really interesting. I just think that this movie is really, really, really worth watching if you're a Beatles fan, just because it makes you feel so euphoric and so, I don't know, proud to be a Beatles fan, because it just emphasizes how everyone kind of needs their music, you know, even if you don't think that you need Beatles music, or if you're a very casual fan and you only know like Let It Be or Come Together or All You Need Is Love. Just some people don't even know. Some people know about one Beatles song. I know I have friends who can't even name any of the Beatles. But that's because my upbringing, like my dad used to quiz me on music, and he would quiz me on the Beatles, and he'd be like, "Who's singing this verse?" And so I know, and so it's second nature to me, and so it's weird to me when people don't know as much about them as I do, or when they don't recognize the impact that they've had on the industry, or even if they do recognize it, they say, yeah, the Beatles had an incredibly large impact on the movie industry, but they're not as good as Beyonce, or like I don't know, like some modern artist. Nothing against Beyonce, that was just the name I threw out, but there's just no words to express how good they are. But on this movie, because we're not talking about the Beatles, we're talking about the movie, it just really showcased all of that beautifully, especially with the directing and the use of color and the cinematography. It was really good. I loved how they did the end credits. I love how they chose to tell the story. The way that the pacing worked in the script, it was, I don't know, it was just satisfying. It was good. So it wasn't the best movie I've ever seen. I think there were some problems with it, and again, there were some shots where I was like, this is just a weird shot and I don't get it. And I think it was just there to be weird, which is completely kind of in line with some of the Beatles, like, magical mystery tour. It's just weird, like, and so I kind of get it if that's what they were going for, but again, it was just a very enjoyable film. Like, it was lighthearted, it was a good family movie, there were people of all ages in the theater with me, and I thought it was really funny because some of the kids that were in the theater, because I like to sit through all the end credits, and the family in front of me did too, and the two boys, like, their parents started to get up and they were like, no, we have to wait, and the dad's like, well, there's not going to be an end credit scene or something. Then the kid was like, yeah, well, we've stayed this long, and like trying to, like, just in case, and then his brother was like, only Marvel does end credit scenes. And I was like, oh my god, I love these kids. And then we walked out because we were like the last ones to leave the theater, and right across the theater, Spider-Man Far From Home was just like the trailers were playing. And you could hear it because it was really loud, and just they looked really tempted to sneak in because we were right around the corner from where the ticket puncher was. So it was, they should have done it, but they didn't. But again, this movie is kind of an all ages thing, and it was honestly very funny, very British, and very British, and the actors all shined. I think the tribute to the Beatles music, which really is, I keep talking about it, but that's what this movie was. It was a tribute to Beatles music and why, and it was kind of reminding the world of why the music is so important, how big of an impact it has on our culture, even if you don't feel it. So I think it did a really good job. I think it was a fun movie. And do you need to see it in theaters? No, but I do think it's just, I don't know, a fun one to watch, especially if you're a Beatles fan, or even if you're not a Beatles fan and you're just wondering, like, what's the big deal about the Beatles. I feel like this movie helps. You might be a little bit confused, but it helps. I mean, if you really don't get what the Beatles did and what's so important about it, watch the anthology. But I think this movie does an incredible job of showing the impact that it has on even just a few people, and how them, like, just one person remembering, or even if there's more than one person that remembers, like, just how much love a single person can hold for their music. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just impactful. So yeah, so those are my thoughts. No spoilers on Yesterday. I thought the movie was very good. I enjoyed the way it played out. I honestly had no clue how they were going to resolve the story. Like, how do you resolve something like that? Like, no one remembering the Beatles and having this conflict inside you about the fact that they're not your songs, but you're taking credit for it. Like, this weird sense of responsibility I thought they did a really good job of resolving it and making something kind of good out of it. I don't know. So yeah, those are my thoughts on yesterday. Please let me know in the comments down below how you feel about this movie, if you plan to watch it or if you have already watched it. And if you're a Beatles fan, I absolutely love to hear your stories about like how you came across the Beatles or your connection with them personally. I love getting stories like that in the comments. And what is your favorite Beatles song? Mine is I've Just Seen a Face. I don't know why, but that's always been, like that song, I love a lot of Beatles songs, but that song always makes me smile. So that one has to be my favorite. But so yeah, I would love to know your favorites. And then again, like, did you enjoy yesterday? So give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, if you liked the movie. And subscribe if you want to see more of my content going forward. A lot is happening this weekend with San Diego Comic-Con, so get ready. Take a deep breath while you can, because it's already, like, the con is already going on, so the convention is already going on, and I really wish I was there, but I don't have that kind of money. Oh, what I would give to go to Hall H. Oh, okay. Okay. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.